Okay.
Grand. So this is something that's not on the agenda actually, but I wanted to show you. This was actually a piece that the BBC did back in the first wave, and it was a feature on students during the COVID pandemic. So that there's one of the students from the university that I work at, Glasgow Caledonian University, but there's also some other healthcare professional students in here as well. But I just think it's a really nice video, and I thought I was really keen to show.
Also see that Emma's back. So maybe if you have a bit of a chat with her, Claire, on the chat to see if she's, while Gordon plays the video. How long is the video?
5 minutes. Okay, I'll just play this just now.
It's here, Monday the 1st of June, 5 AM.
And it's my first day on placement. My nerves are through the roof.
So this is Liskeard Community Hospital. It is normally a rehabilitation community hospital. During COVID-19, it is the allocated ward for COVID-19 positive patients. At the height of the pandemic, the ward was full, so bed capacity is 31. Lots of students were not able to come out on placement because they needed to shield loved ones. So students very much had a choice to volunteer to come on placement. For me, the drive was very strong. I just really wanted to be out here.
A lot of our work at the moment has been chest x-rays and abdomen x-rays to check for signs and effects of COVID.
So right now I'm just in the prayer room. I've just come here to have my lunch and pray. With the whole COVID thing, I got fit tested the other day, which was pretty interesting. And also scary because you get the mask put on and they almost put like a beekeeper mask on top and spray this kind of bitter spray. I was in theatre, so in theatre we all have to wear full PPE. I had my FFP3 mask, I had a visor, a lead gown, and had gloves on. Got really hot and really sweaty, especially with the lead gown. My back was sore within half an hour. It was painful, but you don't really notice it until after you've taken them off.
I think with coronavirus, maybe our role is starting to become a little bit more recognised. Patients, for example, who are admitted to intensive care can't eat or drink, and so it's the critical care dietitian's role to feed that patient via a tube, and they would work out their requirements, work out what type of feed they need, what rate to feed them at. I'm coming up towards the end of the shift now. I've seen an ITU step down, so a recent coronavirus patient who was being weaned off an NG feed, so feed goes through a tube. Busy day, heading back to the office now.
I'm a mature student and I'm also a single parent. Before I did nursing, I was an accountant. It's been quite the journey since I started being a student nurse. This was the first time that I've witnessed a COVID patient, really. Now, this patient had been in ICU and had been in hospital for a long time, and it's probably about 6 to 8 weeks after their first symptom. And it was tough to see the difficulty that they had in breathing. And they were so keen to help the research. They felt like they wanted to repay something. And I just thought that was beautiful to be part of.
When you experience COVID and you see patients suffering with COVID, that's when it hits you. Obviously, I was scared. My parents were both really scared. And they were like, nope, not happening, not going back. But when I spoke to them, they came around and really understood that I was passionate about it, and this was something I really wanted to take on.
Yeah, some positive news this morning actually. A patient that I had been seeing who was in intensive care step down for coronavirus has been discharged home. So they actually recovered really well, no longer need to be tube fed. So positive start to the shift today.
So we've taken the blood from the patient.
It's not so much about finding a vaccine for coronavirus, it's about being part of something much bigger than me and helping people and making that little difference in the world, I suppose.
So today we heard that the last patient here who was COVID positive has now tested COVID negative. It's quite a surreal moment because the wards are eerily quiet. If it comes again, everyone feels more ready to cope, cautiously relaxed, but anticipating the next wave. So for the team here, it's a huge, huge, significant moment.
I have to say, every time that bit with Natalie in the car gets me, honestly.
Oh my God, me too. It's so emotional, isn't it? It's so honest and so brave.
So I think Emma possibly is good to go now. Is that right? Oh, should we unmute her?
Emma is good to go.
There we go. Thank you, Gordon, and apologies to everyone for my Wi-Fi woes this end, but I'm here now and ready to share my presentation. I'll condense it slightly given that I've caused a bit of a delay here, but hopefully it will still be useful for people. So, Pnawn da, good afternoon. My name's Emma. I'm a research nurse. I'm based in South Wales. I've been working as a research nurse for about 12 years now, so quite a while. I spent a little bit of time working as a research associate in a university setting, but we moved to South Wales about 4 years ago, and I'm working clinically with my local research team. What I was going to talk to you about today was a topic that is something that I'm quite passionate about. Anyone that knows me knows that I have special interest in the consent process, and so I've entitled this talk kind of what happens when yes isn't an affirmative. And what I mean by that is when we approach patients and they're saying yes, 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 I'll go ahead with the study, but there's just that little something that you think, I'm not too sure, I'm not convinced, and I just want to explore this a little bit more. So I'm talking here to research nurses, which is great. So I don't know how long you've been research nurses. I don't know for sure that everyone definitely is a researcher. I think everyone is. But this is a situation that probably a lot of you are familiar with. And the reason I think it matters, I mean, it's great, isn't it? We've got someone in front of us who's saying, yes, I'll take part in your study. Why does it matter that we kind of investigate this a little bit more if we're not too sure? And I've split this down to 4 kind of areas really. So we've got the legal responsibilities that we have, the ethical responsibilities and the professional responsibilities, but there's also a little subsection I've put in there, which is the practical side of things. So legally, obviously we've got responsibility legally, we've got Mental Capacity Act, but also the landmark decision in Montgomery against Lanarkshire a few years back now in the High Court, in the Supreme Court, made it very clear that our consent processes need to be focused on the individual in front of us. It transformed kind of information given in consent under the law on its head. Previously, we used to be judged under the kind of the BOLAM frame of things. It was more looking at, well, what would your colleagues have done in the situation? But Lady Hill in her Supreme Court judgment made it very clear that actually now we are to be concerned with the person in front of us rather than kind of looking at, you know, what other people would have done in a reasonable situation. So our consent processes are very patients focused. Ethically, we are governed by several ethical principles that underpin our practice, but the one that I particularly wanted to talk about today was that respect for autonomy. So autonomy, the word split down autonomos, which is Greek, and it kind of boils down to self-rule, self-governing. And the idea is that we have a right to decide what happens to us and what happens to our bodies. Going back to that kind of the phrase, I think it came from a government paper about 10 years or so now, no decisions about me without me. And I just think that really sums it up really well, what we're kind of like looking for here. And I know sometimes we have patients that aren't able to make those decisions, that they do lack capacity, but that doesn't mean that we can't have that respect for their autonomy, and it doesn't mean that we can't do everything we can to treat them with dignity, take wishes they express into consideration, and we should be doing that at all times. Professionally, obviously we're all nurses, registered nurses. We have our professional registration, and our practice is, again, patient focused, and the person that comes first is always the patient. And then I've kind of slipped this little one in at the end, thinking about the practical. So this is really to do with my experience, I guess, over the years. And in my experience, I just find that if the consent process hasn't been the best it could be, if people aren't really on board with kind of where we're going with the study, things can start to unravel a little bit down the line. I don't know if others have found that as well. But sometimes, you know, the patient might think, well, hang on a minute, I don't remember signing up for this, and I didn't know I had to do study visits, and I didn't know that I had to come back and, you know, do all these things. I didn't know that somebody was going to contact me in a year's time, and all these different things. And we start to see the quality of our data maybe reduced, and that's obviously not what we want. So we're kind of thinking from a quality perspective, but also from a safety point of view. People who are on a drug study, if they're not attending follow-up appointments, if they're not engaging, then there's obviously got safety implications as well. So let's imagine the scenario. You go and see a potential participant. You've kind of given them their information sheet. They seem really interested. You go back to them and they're like, yeah, I'll do your study. That's great. But there's something that you're just thinking, I'm just not convinced. And you're just thinking, well, how am I going to explore this with them? And what are my next steps going to be? Just to make sure that this decision that they're making is actually a decision that's obviously legal, but also that it is actually something that they've considered, that they've taken the adequate information in, and that they've been able to balance that. So one of the first things that I tend to do in my own practice, if I'm approaching a patient, is actually, anyone who knows me, one of my top tips is don't ask any yes/no questions. So this is kind of one of my kind of mantras, as it were. So imagine this: you go to the patient, you say, "Oh, hello there. That's great. You're interested in the study. Do you have any questions about it?" No. Have you read the information sheet? Yeah. So you want to go ahead with it? Yeah, that's great. Which is brilliant, but as a healthcare professional, you have no idea whether they've actually read the information sheet and kind of how much they've absorbed about the study. So I tend to go in with more of an open question, which is along the lines of, hi, it's my job to make sure that you've got enough of an understanding of what we're asking you to do. Can you explain to me what your understanding of the study is? And that way you get a good idea of what they've understood, what they've taken in, and what next steps you might want to take. So it may be that it is an understanding issue. It may be that they haven't understood the study well enough, and actually they're making a decision based on information that they've had, but they haven't got the full amount of information that they need in order to make that decision. I had a patient a while ago who was considering taking part in one of the studies that I was doing, and it involved actually having quite an invasive procedure, having a device implanted into his body. And at the time of consent, he was quite interested, but I picked up that he hadn't quite twigged one of the implications would be that he couldn't do gardening for 3 months. I think it was 3 months. It was a period of time anyway. And he suddenly thought, oh, he changed and he wanted to think about it a bit more. And I said, obviously, that's absolutely fine. And when I phoned him back up, he said to me, I hadn't taken on board that was going to potentially be something that would have to happen. And he was really keen on gardening. He loved gardening. Gardening was such a massive part of his life. And for him, he just felt that once he'd weighed that up, it was obvious to him that actually the trial wasn't for him. Other patients might have thought, actually, you know what, this study's so important, I'm really happy to go without my gardening for 3 months. So we're always looking at the person in front of us. The other thing with autonomy, just going back to that again, is that it's important that when someone's making an autonomous choice, it's done without any undue coercion. And one of the ways that obviously we can have that almost subconsciously, I suppose, is just by the fact that we're their nurse. You know, we're going up to them, we're a nurse, we're employed by the hospital, and a lot of patients do have a fear, a real fear, that if they say no, something bad will happen. And I just feel sometimes it's worth just being really explicit with them and just saying to them, I know it says it in the information sheets and everything like that, but really genuinely saying to them, you know what, if you don't go ahead with this, that's okay. Obviously, you know, we want people to, of course we do. But I think there's a difference between kind of that zoomed out and the zoomed in perspective. Yes, of course we want people to take part in research. It's really positive for people to be part of research. The zoomed out is absolutely brilliant. I'd love everyone to take part in research. But actually the zoomed in is that person in front of you, is it right for them at this point in time? And that's something that it just needs a little bit of exploring, I think. It may be other practical things that I've encountered is things like when I was at the start of my research career, I had a patient who was actually illiterate, and I just kind of gone up to them and said, hello, I'm the research nurse, you know, what you do, and have a look at my information sheet and et cetera, et cetera. And they were very happy, and I gave them the information sheet. He just wandered off, said, oh, I'll come back whenever. Yes, that's fine, come back tomorrow, blah, blah. Went back and just assumed that they had been able to read it, but they hadn't. And that was really awful. It was embarrassing for the patient. I should never have put them in that position. And it's something just worth bearing in mind. There may be some reason like that, or maybe they've forgotten their glasses. That happens as well. And also I think it's important just to consider in that moment, does this person have the capacity to be making this decision? It could be someone that under ordinary circumstances absolutely does. You may have looked back at their notes and it seems very clear that they've normally got capacity to make these decisions, but capacity can fluctuate. And there are all sorts of reasons why a patient in hospital might temporarily lose the capacity to make the decision at that time. And I think it's worth just remembering as well that patients have, you know, a lot that we kind of do. Imagine maybe you've got an operation tomorrow, you've just seen the anaesthetist, you've just seen the surgeon, you've just seen, you know, somebody's come and taken your blood, somebody's come to weigh you, and actually it can just be too much. We kind of rock up and we're like, oh, hello, have you thought of interested in doing some research? And it can just be so much that it just can't absorb it. You know, actually your brain can't absorb it all. And I think sometimes an automatic response is, oh, I've got a visitor. Say hello. An automatic response is to just say, oh yeah, fine, I'll do it. Make them go away. Yeah, that's fine. And I think it's just probably worth obviously bearing in mind that that's an option. What do you do in that situation? I think in my experience, I've kind of almost, you know, offered to take that decision off them in a way and said, I can see that you've obviously got a lot on at the moment. Do you want to just leave this now? And more often than not, if that is actually the reason, then they'll say, actually, yes, I think we'll leave this this time. So sorry, that's kind of what I always wanted to say. It wasn't quite as articulately expressed as my pre-record, but hopefully there are some points in there that are helpful, or maybe provoke some thoughts. But yes, I will hand back over to Gordon now. I don't know if there's any time for questions. I'm happy to answer a couple if there are, but if not, then I totally understand that as well.
Thank you so much, Emma. Yep. Yeah, we do have some time for questions. Sorry, somebody's just trying to call me on Teams. And while we're maybe waiting for those to come in, I think consent and informed consent is such a complex subject, you know, because how do you know when someone is informed? And it's not a kind of a standalone point, and it's ongoing consent, you know. But one thing, Elise is here from the Africa chapter, and one of the things actually that I'm really interested in is about consent and autonomy being quite a Western construct in terms of, you know, making an autonomous decision. And in some cultures, actually, that just seems like such a bizarre concept, because you would never make a decision as an individual. You would discuss it with your community, whatever that might be. And it is interesting to think about, obviously, you know, a lot of the kind of the infrastructure and rules and regulations that pertain to clinical research were developed in a Western culture, and how that relates. And I guess that doesn't necessarily just extend to other countries. It could be other people in the country you're working in as well. So I wonder if you've got any thoughts on that, please. Oh, you're unmuted.
There we go.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Absolutely. And different cultures, absolutely different interactions with families. And I think what it boils down to for me is, what does the patient want? Because I think it's perfectly valid for a patient to say, well, actually, I don't want to make this decision without my partner or my parents or someone being involved. And actually, that's something that's really key, is encouraging people to talk with the people that they want to talk with before making that decision. That's so important. But I think what we've seen in this country, and I think the shift is, especially post-Montgomery, is that shift against paternalism. And I know paternalism isn't necessarily the exact opposite of autonomy, but it's that kind of doctor knows best kind of approach. And I'm not an expert on other cultures at all. I don't profess to be, but I have experienced quite a lot of different scenarios, and ones where people do want to involve different people. And I think that's so important, and that's absolutely valid and really important to encourage, if that's what the person wants. And I think for me, it's about what does this individual want and how do they want to make the decision. So that's what I'd say for that. Is that okay?
That's great. Of course, absolutely, and I completely agree. And I guess it's not about imposing the researcher's own perspective on things. It's about seeing what's really important for the participant. Yeah. So there's some comments in the chat here. So Chifundo saying thank you, Emma, very important topic. Claire saying thank you for sharing mistakes as well as celebrations. It's so important to learn, and for what it's worth, you were very eloquent. Absolutely. Jen saying level of consent and perseverance and adaptability today. Absolutely, because we've had power cuts, we've had lots of different things going on. So it's you know, carrying on regardless, and making sure that we get the information out there. Elise from South Africa saying great presentation, Emma. Absolutely the reality of what happens in the process of consent.
Thank you.
Jen, very interesting research and consent in Shanghai session too. Yeah, and a lot of them, when it made me think about it was when speaking to some of the research nurses in Taiwan, and their approach to consent in Taiwan was very, very different to what I'd experienced in the UK. And Elise again saying it's country specific to get the community stroke family involved. Also depends on the condition being studied as well, of course.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Thank you.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Emma. That's fantastic. And apologies.
I'm going to shoot off now because I'm taking my little girl to gym now, so I'm going to shoot off. But
that's why she was coming in saying, "Mum, what's happening?"
But thank you so much.
Thank you,
Emma.
Thank you, Emma. Thanks. Talk about adaptability of clinical research nurses, hey?
Absolutely. Well, I think it was Elise said in response to something yesterday about, if you want to get something done, get a research nurse to do it. So yeah, absolutely. Grand. So I think we're now going. Yep, it's 4 o'clock. So over to Jen for her presentation about NIH Nursing Office update.
To unmute myself.
There you are.
That's helpful. Hello, everybody. And I'm pressing all the special buttons to share the right screen. Has that come up properly?
Yep. Okay. Just need to. Marvelous.
Okay, so hello, everybody. I'll introduce myself in a minute, but I'm hoping this will fill the screen because it looks like it's a bit short at the moment, doesn't it? In any case, I'm Jennifer Allison, and I'm president of IACRN, so I'm the luckiest girl in the world. And I also do about 4 or 5 other things, but today that's maybe the most important, along with my role at NIHR, where I'm actually going to move this so I can maybe see you and talk to you. No, it's not letting me. Okay, I'm going to have to go back 1 slide, sorry. Okay, I'm going to have to kind of look this way because I've got 2 screens open. Anyway, I'm also Associate Director of Nursing and Midwifery at NIHR, which is the National Institute of Health Research. And we've just appointed an amazing woman, Ruth Endicott, who is going to be the director of the entire NIHR, which we've never had before. Some of you have met Susan Hamer or Claire Meechan in the past, and they were directors of nursing and midwifery for a portion of the infrastructure. Ruth is going to be looking after everyone. And this is a video that we created for International Nurses Day, and we're going to amend it a bit so we can use it in promoting and celebrating research nursing and encouraging people to join us in this most fabulous profession. So here you go. Enjoy this little video. Oh, we don't want to see that again. Sorry, guys. Let me see if I can move my next slide on. There we go. Can't see any of you, so it's really eerie. I'm assuming everything's okay, and you now see my main slide. And I will
Jen,
just proceed. Yeah.
We're still, well, I'm still seeing the video. I don't know if anyone else is.
Okay. I
was going to say it might be worth stop screening and then share again.
Yeah.
That's what I had to do yesterday.
Sorry, guys.
Don't worry. It's a great video, isn't it?
It really is. And sorry, Gordon. What were you going to say?
No. I was just going to say we had the full gambit of technical issues over the last couple of days.
I know. All right. Do you see the blue slide now? Is that up?
It's trying to do something. It's black at the moment.
Okay.
It says you've started screen sharing.
It says I am on mine. I'm going to stop again. Sorry, I'm going to just persist because this now is just making me annoyed.
Keep going. Shall I do some river dance for people?
Yeah, really. So the thing about the video, it looks so simple, but the complicated thing was that we wanted to include our colleagues from around the country, and that's what really made it, I feel, so special, that it wasn't one site. Here we go again. How does that look? Any good?
Nope.
Sorry, Jen, it's not showing. Right, I'm actually going to do Fiona Maxton. You can river dance.
I've still got the slides that you sent me, Jen.
No, I'm gonna. Can I send you these? Or is that going to be completely?
Yeah, give it a try, Jen, and we can.
Or let me just put this over here, and maybe it will be happier. And if I turn that off, or just if I save a little power. Perhaps. Let me try one more time before you give up on me. And I'll just close down everything else.
Never give up on you, Jen.
I've told my son to not touch the internet. So he won't be on there because he's a good boy. All right, now I've lost the controls. Okay.
Have you changed it much from the one that you sent me?
A little bit, yeah. I'm going to send this to you.
Okay.
No worries.
Okay, sorry, folks.
Don't worry.
And
for anyone
a
little
go No, I'm just talking to myself. You go ahead.
I was just going to say, for anyone who's on the call, while we're just waiting for the tech issues, I've got a query. So I just wondered how you all got into research, and I just wondered if you wouldn't mind popping something in the chat about it, because I'm quite interested to hear how people got in. I think lots of people tend sort of go in through, I don't know if they're working in a particular disease area or something like that, and then they see the research nurses working in that area and then go and sort of follow that path, or do you work in multi-specialty teams or that kind of thing? Oh, Fiona's saying she could have done a song, but we've muted her. So, I mean, that's tempting.
I've never heard her sing, but she looks like she can't sing, but she probably can. It's terrible of me to say so. Okay,
Alicia Chen is just popped in the chat. Thank you, Jennifer, for... Oh, it's gone. Where's it gone? Sorry, let me just find it again.
I sent it to
Thank you, Jennifer, for your time, for your tireless leadership in the Great Exchanges. Hope to see more coming in the future.
Oh, that's sweet. That's actually Linda Wu's daughter. They're out for a walk together.
Ah, lovely.
And she organized Taiwan and Shanghai. And
Amazing.
she's joined quite a few of them. She's been brilliant.
Amazing. Thank you.
Do you have it, Gordon?
I'm just putting the code in, so I should have it in a second. Because for the Google.
Thank you. Vicky says, thank you for all involved in the virtual visits, both yesterday and today. Happy Clinical Trials Day.
That's really nice, isn't it? It's been such a great week, I have to say. I'm just so impressed. Oh, yay.
We're here.
Yay, there we go. Okay, so you know who I am. Next slide, please. That's great. So just a little overview, and next slide, please. So here in the UK, you usually watch one or both of these, listen to one and watch the other. So I was going to do a show of hands, but we can't really do that today. So this is on the left is Ben Archer. He is in a long-running television, radio program, a soap opera on the radio, taught me how to speak English and understand English when I arrived. And he announced a couple of weeks ago to his parents, who are farmers, that he wanted to be a nurse to make a difference, to give back after what's happened this year. The chap on the right is called Patrick, and he's on a television program called EastEnders, which is another very long-running soap opera on TV. And he has had a stroke, sadly, apparently. And I don't watch EastEnders, but I started watching some episodes around this session because it was quite fascinating, because he's wanting to take part in stroke research. And in fact, that is a research nurse in his home, not wearing a mask, but that's okay, consenting him into a stroke study. Now, that is like the coolest thing. And there was lots of debate with his family, as we were just hearing about consenting and issues, and his family were not happy, but he decided to take part anyway. So how brilliant that in the run-up to International Nurses Day and International Clinical Trials Day, that we had these two events in the national media. Next slide, please. So, you're moving it on, Gordon? I just don't see my next slide. So thank you. Just very quickly, I do 3 days. You did. Thank you. It's perfect. You did. I do 3 days for the CRN as Associate Director of Nursing. 2 days, I'm still matron in Southampton. You heard from the team earlier. You've seen this slide perhaps earlier, and apparently it's already out of date. We don't have 11 COVID vaccine studies. We have 13, and we are the main site. Our chief investigator for the COV Boost study is our director, and that's just starting this week, which is looking at the best way to boost after people have had their 2 vaccinations. So we need to urgently to get that information. So it's a large team. It's an amazing team. I spend a lot of my time managing them and looking after the clinical space and dealing with the complex portfolio, which, as you know, is more complex now because we need to be reopening things that we stopped to deal with all the urgent public health work. So very exciting time. Next slide. Just to give you an overview of what the facility looks like. And I think you saw that this morning, so we can move on, Gordon. Thank you. So I was aware as we were making these slides, I'm not sure that anyone's actually said what NIHR is. We keep talking about this mythical being that is so amazing, but it's a large funder, and it provides everything we need in order to run research properly and well. From early translational work through to applied research in the community in health and social care. Funded by the Department of Health and Social Care, and we work in partnership with all other bodies and deliver the best possible research we can. So that's a bit about NIHR. Next slide, please. There's 6 coordinating centers, and I wanted to talk about this because of Ruth's new job as Director of Nursing for NIHR. So in the past, the Clinical Research Coordinating Center, you'll see down here, that's where our links with nursing has been prior to now. So when Susan Hamer was in post, when Claire Meachin was in post, when I was in post, 3 weeks ago, we were all affiliated with the Clinical Research Network, which is the big funder of the workforce of the nurses. But Ruth will now create this nursing office that will be overarching over everything. So it's all online on NIHR if you Google it, and you can get more details about all these different bits of NIHR, which is really exciting. Next slide, please. So just to say how proud we are in the UK about what we've done, had over 1 million participants take part in our research in the past year. And that was over 180 different studies, and about 100 of those were funded by NIHR. And a ton of money has been thrown at this. So it makes me feel a little embarrassed and very humbled when I've been traveling the world this week and seeing how research is being delivered in some places with so very little, and how amazing the work is and the dedicated workforce. But in any case, this is where we are in the UK, and we're very proud of the infrastructure. And our friends and colleagues in America have recognized that we've done a really good job too, which is nice. But it's a universal piece of work, and we've all been working together to get this to where we are today. Next slide, please. So back to the nursing office, Gordon, just to go through who is in the office. Next slide, Gordon. Thank you. So it's Ruth. Back one more, sorry. It's Ruth, it's my colleague, Kathy. Wrong way, that's okay. Oh, he's rubbish, Claire. Well, I should have sent the slides to you. Anyway.
Is that the right one?
No, it doesn't matter. It's fine. It's good enough. We have a little office now. There had been 2 of us. Kathy and I had just been doing everything.
You've got it.
That's great. There had been 2 of us. We had some great administrative support, the program officers, the program coordinator, and the PA we've been sharing. But now we have Ruth, which is brilliant. And we have a new research officer because we have a lot of things we need her to evaluate. Next slide. Thank you, Gordon. So in my role, Kathy's been focusing on the 70 at 70 group, which is brilliant. So that's Claire and Fiona, and I'm not sure who else is still on the call, but that's a very important piece of the role. And that's what my colleague is doing. I'm sort of representing everyone. I'm magnifying their voice. I'm doing all the fun stuff, really. I get to demonstrate their value. I get to increase support for the workforce. I get to talk about research nurses, figure out how to embed research and student placements, and in working with midwife champions, and figuring out how to support the clinical research practitioners. So that's the new group of professionals that are being registered in the UK who don't have a clinical type of degree. So they're not nurses, they're not medics, but they're clinical research practitioners, and they will now have a wonderful way of demonstrating their value and of supporting the nursing and medical teams delivering research. So that's very exciting. We're sharing and want to capture workforce stories at this site, and urge colleagues to think about how they can share some of the stories we've been hearing this week. Next slide, thank you.
And sorry, Jen, is RTP, is that return to practice, is it?
Yes, it is. So we're just looking at that for placements, across probably the CRF network to start, but it could be rolled out elsewhere as well. Those are just early discussions with the leads for that. Yeah, but it's a good idea, don't you think? Okay. I'm going to add the cadets as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I represent clinical research nurses at a variety of meetings and initiatives. So across the coordinating center, where there hadn't been a nurse for a while. So it's really interesting, some of the conversations I have with colleagues who are planning big research projects and starting up studies and preparing them to roll out across the country, and to not have that sort of logistical, hands-on research nursing input is quite interesting. So when I kind of pipe up and say, well, have you thought about this? Or the nurses might think this, if that study comes in that way. So it's wonderful to have input at that level. There's a wonderful career initiative. So the NIHR Academy is one of the 6 pillars of NIHR, and there's been a huge amount of work, and you'll see in the next couple of slides, around clinical academic careers and encouraging nurses to become researchers, which is wonderful for those who choose to do that. Those of us who don't and who want to remain research nurses are now being offered this wonderful opportunity. And we're just now scoping out what's available and determining what's needed. And the Academy is planning to address the needs of the workforce, which is great. Doing a lot around embedding clinical research. We've been hearing this all week. There's some engagement groups I'm involved in, and the student placements and the associate PI scheme, which is something that will help to encourage our clinical colleagues to get involved in research as well. But we're not satisfied with just that. We do want the research nurses to be able to take up those posts. So that's something we're working on. Next slide, please. On to the celebrations and collaborations. Gordon. Is he frozen? He's frozen.
I think there's a delay, isn't there?
I think there is. So this is about celebrations.
There's a lag, yeah.
Okay. Next slide. Thank you. Celebrations, collaborations, International Nurses Day came and went, and here we are still in the middle of our virtual visits, at the end of our virtual visits. I'm going to be sad not getting up tonight. I might get up anyway and just ring someone and have a chat. I could ring you, Claire, because you missed it last night. Nursing Times Awards.
Sorry.
I know. Once again, NIHR is sponsoring the clinical research category. Submissions are due on the 4th of June, so don't forget to submit something. I'm looking at you, Fiona, because your face is on the picture here next to me. The ceremony is meant to be live at Grosvenor House on the 27th of October. That alone, I think, is worth a submission just to get there. We have close links now with our colleagues at the RCN Research Society Clinical Research Nurse Subcommittee. That's not easy to say, but it's a very important group that's come out of our Royal College of Nursing, and that's very exciting, as well as links with the Association of UK Lead Research Nurses. And what is really the most exciting thing is that virtual and face-to-face site visits will be possible. And I know Ruth is just chomping at the bit. I mean, so am I, because I took this job, frankly, because I thought I'd be getting out there and meeting people. And I've been sat in this chair since September, and I'm ready to go. But that's going to be a wonderful way to celebrate and show how much we value our teams across the country. Next slide, Gordon, when you can push the button. So on to a few things that are coming around the more academic side of things. And this is what Kathy's been involved with, is the NIHR Incubator. I'm going to keep talking. There we go. Incubator in Nursing and Midwifery. So again, this is about developing and ensuring that programs are open to our nursing and midwifery colleagues and creating this community of practice. Next slide, Gordon. So it's going to be very interesting to see what comes from that. So do keep an eye. And people at the highest level are working on this, and some fellowships and things, and that will be really wonderful. Gordon, whenever you're ready. The next slide is about 70 at 70, which you've already heard quite a bit about. And it's a very important program. We're just getting ready to evaluate it, which is why we appointed our research officer who's going to look at the evaluations, because we want to make a good case for ensuring we can continue with that in some form. And that will be decided after the evaluation. But it's been wonderful. And these new links with the Chief Nursing Office. Next slide, Gordon. So many different projects and so much excitement being generated around the country. And there's more formal, more standard sorts of programs available as well through different programs. You can see the numbers of awards given to nurses to date, which are not anything small. They're quite good numbers. Really wonderful to see PhDs and various pre-doctoral up to postdoctoral level work going on. So that's great. That's that. Then just quickly, Gordon, next slide. Just to talk about the UK CRF network, which is a collaboration that we've had for a long time across the country to support all of the research facilities, whether they're funded by NIHR or not. I'm theme lead for workforce. Have you advanced, Gordon? Workforce and education. Hello. Oh, he's drifted off again. And there are 50 CRFs now around the country and in Ireland. 21 of those are funded by NIHR. But there are lots of wonderful collaborations that we have through that network. And I'm really enjoying this last few months, pulling things together, looking at best practice around vaccine studies. That's okay. That's okay. And study intensity and induction, and looking at how we share those things nationally. Next slide is IACRN, which many of you will know about, some of you might not. Take a look at the website, iacrn.org. Gordon, if you could push the button when you can. There are 7 local chapters, full chapters, including this one, UK and Ireland, led by our very own Claire and Gordon, who are amazing and truly passionate about this piece of work. We've got pilot chapters, 6 at the moment around the world. And we came together as the only professional organization for clinical research nurses to get our work recognized as specialty practice. And we did. And that happened in 2016. And because of that, next slide, Gordon, in 2021, we've launched our board certification. Very easy steps towards it. There are going to be 2 windows each year, April and in October. Handbook is posted on the website. It has lots of information. Have a look at that. And it's really exciting. Next slide, just to be finishing up.
Jen, just to say, Gordon's WhatsApped me just to say there's about a 30-second lag.
Okay, I'll try to say
right,
next
just
slide.
so you know.
It's okay. So just enduring partnerships across all of this. So one really great example are these international visits. So for a few years, we were able to meet face to face. The closeness of these photos just take my breath away. Being able, I stood there with my hand on Joy's shoulder, and we're like, I'm snuck in behind MJ and Susan. So it was always so wonderful to bring our members to the UK each year, and to collaborate with our Irish colleagues on the different sessions and provide information about NIHR and send them off to CRFs around the country. And this year we've had to pivot. Next slide, Gordon. And instead of just hosting international study visits, I've changed it to international inspirational study visits, because that's what I feel it was. And that was a Taiwan, I think. That was one of the early ones I made this slide set. And I just think, we have to figure out how we do this regularly. So thank you. It's been amazing. You're all amazing. And please thank all your colleagues for everything they've done. And Gordon and Claire for these 2 days of amazing content. And we will have all the recordings up on the website at some point. They'll need a bit of editing, especially me, but that's okay. And it makes you feel like you were there in the room, perhaps. So thanks, that's it from me. I did have a video, but I don't think we have time. And that's okay, if that's the case. And I think we'll just make sure it gets onto Twitter for people to look at. So thank you, everybody. And thank you all for joining all the different calls and taking part and presenting. And this was like a little idea. I thought, let's bring people to the UK virtually. And then members of the board of IACRN said, wait, we want to take part too, and we want to present. And so it just kind of blew up from there in the most beautiful way. And I've just been awestruck by what I've seen this week, and so impressed and so proud to be a research nurse and part of this community. And join us if you aren't already a member, then join your local chapter. And if there isn't a local chapter, create one. Is Sabine still on the call? Because I'm thinking of her. So thanks, guys, and I'll stop talking.
Thank you, Jen. That's fab. It's so nice hearing everything that's coming up as well, isn't it? It's really exciting. There's quite a few messages in the chat for you. I'll let you have a little look at those when you're ready. Gordon.
I'm not sure how much of a lag there is with me now. Can you hear me now?
There's no lag now, but you sound slightly like a Dalek.
Maybe if you turn
something
your...
that's 10 seconds before you hear it, I think.
Maybe if you turn your camera off, dude. Yeah, as beautiful as you are.
Okay. Well, these
Claire.
These are just through the 1 million sessions, so that's fantastic. So thank
Gordon.
Claire, you need to rescue him, dude. Rescue, please.
And we can move that forward. But...
Gordon, can you hear us?
Yeah.
We're going to mute you.
No, you can't, because I haven't got the slide.
What's going on?
Oh, dude. It's bad. It's bad. She's just totally enjoying this, though, torturing you, because you'll be very embarrassed later when you look at this.
No. Oh, you sound like you're down a drain pipe or something. I don't know what's happened. Have another go. You look like your camera's caught up now. You might be back now.
Nope.
Or not.
Well, can you hear me okay?
Sorry, everybody. This is really unprofessional.
I think it is. Okay.
Gordon, let's have another go.
Is he gone?
Don't know if you can hear us. Oh, Gordon, if you want to share the slides and I'll go through them.
I think he's gone. Maybe he'll log back in.
Has he dipped out?
Yeah, I think he has. Which is probably for the best. As entertaining.
Well, yeah, except he's got the slides.
It's okay.
That's fine.
Here he comes.
It.
There he is.
There he is.
He's frozen with a mean face.
I thought I better come out and go back in again.
Okay.
Okay.
Is there a lot you wanted to say?
Can you hear me?
There's a couple of important things that we wanted to say. Gordon, try and go out and back in. And in the meantime, I'm just going to have a look through the chat because there was a few things in there that were really interesting. Hang on. I'll message him. I'll message you. I don't know if you can hear me. Go out and back in, I'll say.
Oh, he's trying to screen share again. Oh, Struth. Okay. Bless his cotton socks, as you
It's okay. Right. I've just WhatsApped him. Oh, he said he did come out and back in. Okay. Can you
tell
screen
him
share?
just to go.
Well,
all right. I'm just looking. You all put some lovely things in here about your careers and
thanks,
what
Jen.
you did. And it's going to be really interesting. We can pull some of that together. Yeah, more than 1 million impressions. It's really great, isn't it? So associate PI role. Oops. Oh, that's really nice.
Jen, this is what's so important.
Oh. Oh, that's so sweet.
We just wanted to say, so none of this would have happened without Jen. It was Jen's brainchild from the start, and everybody else got involved wholeheartedly. We've been all over the globe, thanks to you, and you've been up pretty much every night for the last week in between. And Jen, for those of you on the line, Jen hasn't missed a single virtual visit. So she's quite literally been going to bed for a couple of hours, waking up, doing 2 or 3 hours, supporting other countries with her lippy on at crazy o'clock in the morning. It's been absolutely amazing. So Jen, we just wanted to say a massive thank you to you for organising this.
Wait, let me take a picture. Cry, you guys. That's so unnecessary, but so sweet. And actually, you all did the hard work and got these amazing sessions filled with the most brilliant things. It's been the most, I kept thinking each night, I'll just log on for 5 minutes and then I'll, get them set up. But then it was like so interesting. I had to stay and listen. So I urge you all to find those recordings when they go up, and please do listen to what your colleagues are doing around the world. It was I was so inspired, and it's such a privilege to work with all of you. So thank you, Claire and Gordon, for this. This is really sweet.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you. I think like you say, it's everyone pulls together, and it's amazing. I think that's what we do so well as a clinical research nurse and wider community, isn't it? And from Gordon and I, a massive thank you to everybody who's presented and attended, because we do know just how busy everybody is constantly. So the fact that people have, it takes a lot of effort, but it really wasn't that hard. When we went out and asked the question, people came back to us so quickly and just wanted to be involved. And I just think that that's a real testament to our community as clinical research nurses, midwives, AHPs, all of us. So thank you to everybody, but a massive, massive thank you to Jen, and a huge thank you. And I don't know if Gordon's frozen, but a massive thank you to Gordon as well for everything. And I guess that's the close of the virtual visits 2021.
Wow.
How strange.
I told someone to remind me never to do this again if I start thinking, oh, we should.
You will absolutely do this again, Jen. There's no doubt about that.
We will. And next year I'll be past president. I won't be the current president. I won't be in the hot seat. Laura Baker. I'll be able to focus more with Elise and all of you to do this. So please get involved with the organization if you aren't, because things like this, pop up all the time. And it's such a great group of people.
Definitely. And one final plug, that in October we have the IACRN annual conference. It will be virtual this year. Registration's opening fairly soon, so keep your eye out on the website and you'll be able to have a look there. And a final plug for accreditation, so please do have a look again at the website. Opens towards the end of September for application through October. Gordon's back. Is Gordon back?
He's got that scared frozen face.
Oh, honestly, Gordon's
doing the hokey cokey.
Hey!
Oh, Gordon.
Elise says annual event for now on. Terry says a heartfelt thanks to all of you.
Slide, Jen.
That is so sweet of you, Gordo. Thank you. I'm very touched. I'm very emotional. I'm overtired and hungry.
But we will send it to Jen. Will send it to you.
Thank you. I have my revalidation Friday. I can pop it in.
Yeah, Elise. Hello.
Oh, Elise, you sweetheart. She's been globetrotting with me. It's been the most inexpensive trip I've ever. It was. I never thought I'd see so much of the world in a week.
Same here. I would never have traveled to all these different countries in my lifetime. So. That's why we need to do it as an annual event so that people can travel.
Okay.
Yeah,
we'll do it.
Agreed.
Let's
do it. Look at Jen's face. Okay, we'll do
it. We'll do it. Yeah, it'll be wonderful. It's exciting. It's great. And Ruth Endicott, replied to my email this morning and said we have to link with this group. And I was like,
excellent. Yes.
Some of us are, and you will, because she'll be such an asset and wonderful leadership, I'm sure.
Definitely.
Oh, wow.
Gordon, do you want to try one last hurrah?
Well, yeah, I don't know. Can you hear me in real time?
Yes.
It's coming out of your mouth.
I know. I can't wait to find out what you thought I sounded like, because you guys were in hysterics.
I'm sorry, it was really unprofessional.
And she just let it go on and on and on.
I was checking my screen. I was thinking, am I sharing something on the screen that I shouldn't be? But no, I'm so glad you saw that last slide, Jen, because I mean,
let's unmute Fiona. I feel bad.
Jen, I have to say, we are in awe of you. We really are. The stuff, everything you're doing, you're just so busy and doing so many jobs. You're doing enough jobs for about 10 people, and it's just amazing what you've done. And the leadership is just unbelievable. So just thank you for that really heartfelt thank you.
Oh, thank you. That's really sweet. I can't hear you, Fiona. Are you saying nice things too? Do you have your microphone?
Is she miming? Is she?
I think
it's expressive dance.
I've taken up lip reading, but
See, this is the thing at the end of this sort of visit, where it would be lovely to just go and have a little drink, and
I know.
It feels strange when it finishes and you don't see anyone.
I know. I even had a biscuit after lunch. You know how you'd pick up a packet of biscuits? So I took 2 rich tea little biscuits and broke them up, and it was like, that's my after lunch little snack, like you'd have. She's got too many headphones. Look at her.
She has. What's happening?
Technology in the NHS.
Hey.
Yay.
How many headphones does a girl need?
Well, how many work? What I was trying to say was the 3 of you have been fantastic in organising it. It's been really good. I've done no work this week because I've just been logging in, and that's not quite true. I've done a little bit of work.
This is work.
This is work. Absolutely. So today was better than yesterday, managing on my mobile phone. So
you were amazing.
You did brilliantly.
You're so resilient. Just pivot and sort it out.
Anyway, it's been really good, and I'm looking forward to the next one, Jen.
Okay, Fiona. I think we needed maybe you're a deputy.
Fiona's just volunteered
to be on the planning committee.
I don't think Elise, you didn't hear that, did you? No.
Elise hears everything. Elise hears everything. She's our global member at large. She's everywhere.
When are we going to be able to access all the sessions? That's what I was going to ask.
Are you any good at editing, Fiona?
Oh, hugely. No.
We've got somebody. We got someone who foolishly volunteered from the Boston chapter, who's a bit of a whiz.
Okay.
So she said she can. So we're moving them all into a safe
place
site, and then she's going to work through them. It's going to take a little while, probably. But they'll be on the website. And
excellent.
And Terry, are you still there, darling? I'm asking you to unmute. There's Terry from America. Terry is chair of our membership and marketing committee. And you're based in Boston, right, Terry?
No, I'm in DC.
DC.
Yeah, the capital.
Hi, Terry.
Hi,
Georgetown.
Hi, Lise.
That's right.
Hello. Just amazing production. You ladies and gentlemen made this look like it was as easy as baking cake. But how fascinating to see so many different places, and what nurses are just natural makers and doers.
Yes, I think we are. There's 2 of Claire now, just to confuse us. She's showing off her Wi-Fi.
I've got to go and pick Eva up, so I'm swapping to my.
Okay. I better go as well.
All right.
Thank you, everybody. It's been lovely, and it's been lovely to see. I really want to go and work in Boston now. It's been lovely to see my old colleagues and my places of work in Australia. So it's been fantastic. So I'm a little bit homesick and unsettled now because of you.
Oh, I'm sorry. We didn't have any New Yorkers for that reason. No, just kidding.
Boston kids looks just fab.
Doesn't it?
Yeah.
I know. A children's hospital like that, a great big old children's hospital. Yeah. It's very enticing. But
okay, I'm going to shoot, but thank you again, and I'll talk to you all soon.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, Fiona.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Now, these other people, so I know who, this is Maria Baggett. Maria, are you still on the line? Did you want to say something? I'm asking you to unmute. I think it's you, Maria. Maybe it's somebody else. No. Lindsay, I'm asking you to unmute. Donna, whoever you are,
Hello.
people. Hello.
I'm at.
Hi. Is that Goulston?
Yes, hi.
Hello. It's one of my colleagues.
Gate crashing.
It's all right. You're allowed. This is the after party. Only the cool kids who stick it out. Donna,
Yeah,
I've
sorry,
asked you to unmute. It's all right.
I didn't catch this morning because I was on moving and handling training, but just logged in from 3 onwards. But yeah, it was very interesting. Thank you. So I missed your virtual visits around the world, but I understand it's all going to be available to see. Yeah,
it will be indeed online. Yeah,
another time.
Excellent.
Thank you very much.
I'm glad you got to the afternoon. So these other people don't seem to want to unmute.
I asked everyone to unmute, but
did you? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So hopefully the technical whiz person can iron out all the glitches that we've had, not least mine at the end there.
I'm sure she'll sort it out. Should we stop recording?
Yeah, I think so.
Take care.